Before anyone gets upset, I just want to say Huntthetruth in the Halo series is one of the best ARGs ever. It's a masterclass in both immersion, world building, and building up tension like you wouldn't believe. It taps very deep into the Halo lore via the perspective of someone who goes down a rabbit hole that leads to horrifying discoveries. And those of you who know about Huntthetruth probably understand why the video is titled the way it is. This is not a video criticizing Huntthetruth in any way. It's amazing. It's just so underutilized. But let's start from the top. What is Halo? I'm unsure of who's going to be watching this, as most of my audience are Love Life fans, but I have some Halo fans here and there, so let me do a quick TLDR. Halo is a series about humans versus aliens. That is the worst way to describe it, but it's not entirely wrong. What really makes Halo special though is its world building, the history of both the enemies and the allies, how a government and society would deal with a potential war against an alien force, and the desperate measures they would take to ensure the world is kept safe. And let's focus on that last part. You see a Spartan like Master Chief, and you're probably like, who is this guy? How was he made? Is he safe for humanity? He just punched someone and they fucking explode. Can we trust this dude? That's something you probably think of if you saw him in real life. In game, we don't really get that because we're playing as the Master Chief, but like I said earlier, Halo shines in world building via a bunch of multimedia. Now these pieces of multimedia, they vary from quality to quantity, some are good, some are long, and for the most part, they were sort of kept separate from the mainline Halo stuff. Like, there are books explaining stuff that happened between Halo 1 and 2, but you can still play Halo 2 without being too confused. It was sort of optional. I myself didn't have trouble playing for the games, and many friends I've had can express the same thing. And any Halo fan probably knows where I'm going with this. When Halo 5 was announced and being teased in 2015, it kind of did something a bit weird. It attempted to force you to read and watch supplementary material to understand the Halo lore. Now, there's an amazing video by the Ackman made years ago that just summarizes perfectly, but remember me talking about all the books and stuff being optional? It's just to expand the lore, and if you know the lore, the little Easter eggs and stuff in the games would make you go, oh my god, I get it. But it was never required. Because of this accessibility wall suddenly risen up, you had many people who play the game suddenly be like, who the fuck is Blue Team? Who the fuck is Locke? And the game just sort of assumed that you know everyone, which, no dude, I don't. And this is not even getting to the main deal, which connects to the main point of this video. The main deal with Halo 5 was Huntthetruth, a marketing campaign that was made to bring hype by creating intrigue and mystery into the Halo lore. Master Chief going AWOL, he's gonna die? Nah, this dude's gonna die? Master Chief died? The big thing a lot of people took issue with was that the story and ideas that were being presented in the campaign, none of it really had any presence in the actual game. People call it false advertising, but I'd be more inclined to call it a bait and switch, and it sucks because being real, the story that was being told in Huntthetruth was infinitely more interesting as a story. No disrespect though to those that enjoy Halo 5's story. The Huntthetruth ARG consists of 2 seasons of an audio drama, a bunch of trailers, some competitions here and there, and other ARG elements, yada yada. For this video, I want to focus on season 1 of the Huntthetruth audio drama. I don't know why both the marketing campaign and the audio drama are called the same thing, but it makes sense, I promise. Yes, we're not talking about season 2, I don't particularly enjoy it, and I don't want to force myself to talk about something I don't really like. Season 1 of Huntthetruth is such an amazing series that feels so wasted when placed to the context of Halo 5. If it was literally released anywhere else, I wouldn't be phrasing it like this. I just call it good and leave it at that. But because I know it was released for a campaign that was made for Halo 5 and didn't get used to the best of its ability, it makes me angry. Because this podcast, oh my god, I don't usually listen to audio dramas, but I have never listened to a series that had me hooked this much. It's accessible, it's easy to understand, and it's horrifying. Scary in such a realistic manner that by the end of it, a part of you doesn't know who to trust. Huntthetruth wasn't just a slogan, it was a message, both in real life and in the lore of the series. The podcast actually exists in the world of Halo, like it canonically exists, adding an extra level of immersion. We follow Benjamin Giroux, a journalist and war photographer who's given the amazing opportunity to interview people who knew the Master Chief in an attempt to do a report on him. However, as he continues with his investigation, he starts to find things that don't add up, and it gets to the point that he begins questioning the people who assigned the project to begin with. We are not in the perspective of a Spartan, an ODST, or even a soldier. We're in the perspective of just a normal ass dude. Okay, I wouldn't say normal, but he's a regular human, and he's definitely not perfect. Benjamin's story doesn't actually begin with Huntthetruth. His story begins in a little story called Second Sunrise over New Mombasa, which was one of the mini stories shown in the Halo graphic novel, which was released in 2006. In it, we get a good idea of the type of person Benjamin is. As both a journalist and war photographer, he's someone who's frequently hired to edit images to make them seem less worse than they actually are. And in a time where humanity is losing against the Covenant, the aliens of the series, yeah, you gotta do a lot of censoring. It's something he feels conflicted on, as he's hiding the truth from a lot of people. And we get a little mention of how he's employed by the Office of Naval Intelligence, which will become important later. Now, many of you are already connecting the message of Huntthetruth to Benjamin. A person who hides the truth is creating a podcast called Huntthetruth. Isn't that kind of ironic? And the story does lean into that heavily, as Ben's morality gets tested. Now, it's here where we're gonna get into spoiler territory. I'm not gonna do a complete bar for bar recap, but I am gonna do a summary so you understand the build up and how the story is written. This is a mystery novel. This is something where pieces of information are sprinkled at the beginning to have an oh shit moment later on. As much as this podcast isn't integrated heavily into the Halo lore, you don't really need to play or know Halo. I don't know if this was purposeful, but the story does a really good job at explaining elements of the Halo world, in terms of technology, and how an alien war would affect the entire human civilization. Imagine a planet gets glassed, which is a term for when a planet gets fucking obliterated being a giant beam. What would happen to the people on that planet? You might say, well, all dead, which yeah, but here's another point. What would happen to the records of humans living there? How would you determine if someone lived or died there when the entire planet is essentially gone? Glass planets have bad records, and that's the type of world building we get in this series. We see glassing happen in the Halo games, but we don't worry too much about it because fuck, we're on the next mission. But here, we really get to see how difficult and complicated it is, especially from the perspective of a journalist. And I think it's finally time we talk about the story, and let me quickly tell you how great it is, and why I think it was wasted. The story begins with Benjamin giving us foreshadowing on the events that are going to happen, telling us that we're going to be diving into a rabbit hole and hunting down the truth regarding the Master Chief, and if he truly is someone we can rely on. It does an amazing job at establishing what the tone is going to be like, mystique, tense, and I can imagine those who watched it when it came out knew shit was going to go down. Benjamin is assigned a new project by ONI, the Office of Naval Intelligence, to do a report on the Master Chief. After the attack on Earth, which happened in Halo 2, the public wants to know who this guy really is and if we can trust him. The way the script is written is so fucking good because 1, it helps catch us up to speed if we've got to play Halo 2, and 2, it has an in-lore reason as the attack on Mombasa happened in Africa, and in the world of Halo, people just live on different planets, so many people might not know what exactly happened, so it serves as great exposition. In the span of less than 15 minutes, we see that the investigation is going well. Master Chief's origins took place on a glass planet, meaning that his history isn't exactly traceable, but he's getting interviews from teachers and people who knew Master Chief personally, and most of these interviewees are given to Benjamin by ONI. The story seems fine, but Benjamin, as a journalist, wants to seek the truth. He wants to make sure every coin is uncovered, so he goes back. The first bombshell is introduced to us. Master Chief, aka John, apparently died at 6 years old, and Benjamin wants to know what's wrong. When he asks Sully, the supervisor who gave him the project, he simply says it's fabricated. It could be messed up. I mean, glass planets have bad records. And initially, Benjamin believes it. But then something weird happens. Benjamin's given another interview, but for some reason, he's getting this royal-ass treatment like he's some sort of celebrity all for this one interview. Obviously, you can tell something's up, but we don't exactly know what they're attempting to hide. And as he attempts to dive more and more into his research, things start getting weirder and weirder. The truths he once knew are completely wrong, and the sources he previously got his info from are now backtracking when he starts asking more questions. And it gets to the point that when he asks Sully again about the new information, Sully straight up says,
I know,
Glass
it's not
planets
just the
have bad
records,
Ben.
actually.
This is colonial journalism
listen, Sully, if you
101.
could. People are saying.
Serious with this?
People
Glass
are saying.
planets.
Listen, do glassed people have bad records?
Ben, are you recording right now?
Yes. That was my cue to stop recording. The off-the-record conversation was brief. Sully asked me if I wanted to do the next interview. What he meant was, do you want to keep this job? I said yes.
Your call is over.
something's wrong, but it's up to Benjamin on whether or not he wants to continue, or stop. He learns stuff about the Master Chief that might be true. His parents might be alive. He might have killed 2 people instantly, and he might have had some implantation inserted in him when he was younger. But it comes down to what Benjamin wants to do. He could just glaze Oni and do the report as intended, but something inside him is telling otherwise. He wants to hunt the truth. After he accidentally has a public conversation where he discovers that Oni possibly heard him learning something that he shouldn't have, along with news of the Master Chief going rogue, Sully calls him in. We soon get introduced to Petra, another journalist like Benjamin, and she's clearly smarter than him as she helps him not to fuck himself into a corner when he begins talking about his research. See, the world of Halo is very scary the more you go deeper into it. There is a surveillance system all around that tracks what everyone is hearing, and if you hear certain phrases or keywords, it will focus in on a conversation to check if something wrong is being talked about. Petra immediately starts talking about the weather when Benjamin mentions his inconsistencies in his research because she knows all about the rules that are in place to make sure society goes smoothly. Episode 4 does a really good job at showing how horrifying the government is in Halo. He notices while he's walking over to the office that some things are off. For example, everyone walks on a certain side of the pavement, meaning there's another side of the road that is just completely bare. Along with that, there's no ambient noises, no birds, nothing. It's like a liminal space, full of spots for a camera to be watching his every move. When he meets Sully again, he isn't his usual upbeat self that's encouraging Ben to give his all for the Master Chief report. In just a flash, he's scary, intimidating, showing how dangerous Oni really is. Benjamin gets called in to do another interview with someone who yet again knew the Master Chief. But Ben is stupid. And this is a reoccurring thing that makes me feel so upset, but I also love his character. We hear his inner monologue about how we know he's possibly being watched, that they're watching his every move, yet he decided to do shit like asking an interviewee questions about the Master Chief he shouldn't have. And right when that happens, suddenly the interviewee has to go, and slowly says it's over. And he's fired. In any other story, this is where it would end. He's no longer on the Master Chief story, and he can go live his life, I guess. But it's here at the end of Act 1 that things take a shift in tone. While taking what's essentially a space train back home, he comes across someone he interviewed previously. Jacob Walker was a man that Benjamin had interviewed that was permanently stationed on the beach home, being chill, living his life. But when he saw him on the space train, he looked like someone else entirely. A suit and tie, looking formal, almost as if he was faking what he initially looked like in the interview. Benjamin is confused, and when he approaches Walker, he gets scared, as if this wasn't supposed to happen. And as Ben tries pushing it, he gets knocked out and is sent home. Another mystery. But it's not one that ends up unsolved. In the world of Halo, there are these things called compounds, which are basically advanced phones that can record audio, and it's what Ben has been using to record all the past episodes. It turns out, while he was knocked, his compound had been recording everything. How he got knocked out, how the people who knocked him out were only officers that knew Ben personally, and how the situation wasn't supposed to happen at all. It's here where Ben's character takes a turn, and why it makes him so complex in an interesting way. He feels betrayed after knowing Oni fucked him over, but it isn't for the reason you might think. Ben isn't innocent. We talked about it in the new Mombasa comic. He censors things for a living, hides the truth, and he's done it for Oni numerous times. Within the Huntthetruth Tumblr, every episode had screenshots to add extra lore, and in the first episode, we see that in lore, the Halo 2 box art was actually taken by Benjamin himself. And we get to see the parts he was purposely told to censor to make it more people-friendly. It's both funny in the meta sense, but shows just how dedicated he was to Oni. Him feeling betrayed by Oni isn't because of his morals and how they're hiding the truth, no. It's because of his pride. It's because of how the Oni officers talked about Ben while he was unconscious, saying sleep tight and patronizing him. This instantly humanized him a lot more, and he's by no means a good person for suddenly making this change in position. He knows that's selfish and it doesn't change who he is, but he doesn't care. So he releases the episodes. He releases Huntthetruth to the public. At the end of episode 5, episodes 1 to 5 are released publicly in the lore of Halo, ending Act 1. What we previously got was a glimpse of a rabbit hole, the story of one man just getting a little bit too intrigued to the point he's willing to avoid the obvious red flags because of pride and personal intrigue. When we reach Act 2, the tone is different. Benjamin is now on the offensive, gathering info from all corners of the internet and having more acquaintances to help him with his research. This isn't all good, as he begins involving other people who aren't exactly keen on being in this podcast. Petra, for example. She appears in episode 4, and after the episodes are released, she immediately breaks to Ben's house with a gun and screams at him for recording her without permission. And then she's like, "Are you recording right now?" And Benjamin is like, yeah.
Oh,
You
whoa, wait.
line, Ben.
No, wait, Petra.
You didn't think I'd find out, huh?
Petra. What?
When I was helping you? Oh, you wormy bastard!
Oh, no, Petra. No, I'm sorry. I didn't even think about it.
You didn't even think about it?
No.
Now you know, as well as anyone, Ben, that you could use someone's words to destroy them. In that way, isn't your compad kind of like a gun? Oh, wait, I have a gun. It's right under my jacket. What would you think if I took it out and pointed it at your face?
Please don't. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry.
And let me guess, you're recording right now too, aren't you?
Yes, but...
You little
Whoa.
Seriously, Ben?
Yes, what do you want me to do?
It's like Cloverfield, where the reason why everything is being recorded is because the cameraman is fucking stupid as shit. I think Act 2 is where the series reaches its peak, but also starts to lose a lot of steam, and that sadly transitions to how Act 3 is as well. Huntthetruth is at its best when it's a mystery thriller in the eyes of someone who can only take it in and do nothing else. We learn as Benjamin learned, and placing it in the perspective of a normal person like us makes it more realistic, more scary. Act 1 does this perfectly, and Act 2 heightens it by showing us even bigger revelations with Ben starting to jump deep into the rabbit hole even if he isn't prepared. He makes connections with people who are essentially on the dark web to get more information on the Master Chief. He learns about the kidnapping and cloning of children. He gets his own friends involved to do personal research that leads to more rabbit holes. Season 1 is only 3.5 hours, yet it does such an amazing job spinning you around to a web of so many plot points that you don't know what's real and what's fake. The story debates you so many times, thinking that Benjamin has Oni at the grasp of his hands, when actually he's playing to their hands. Because of this perspective, we only see what Benjamin sees, and Benjamin is just too passionate. He's borderline stupid, and it makes it complicated as he keeps digging himself into a hole, but at the same time we're learning more Halo lore, so fuck it. He hangs out with a former soldier, and a hacker known as Pharaoh, who uses her power to hack into a Senate meeting to have Benjamin talk to some of the most powerful people in the world to tell him that Oni's been lying to them. I apologize if it seems like I've been skimming on the info, but this act is just bombshell after bombshell to the point you can't really summarize it without just recapping it bar for bar, which at that point you should just watch it. Which you should. Please. Anyway, Act 2 ends with Pharaoh helping Benjamin speak to the Senate, in which he publicly tries outing Oni for their crimes regarding kidnapping children and hiding the truth. He makes himself public enemy number 1, leading him to go into hiding. He loses his bank account, his financial status, literally everything about him is gone, so he has to go into hiding. He joins the rebellion fully, and you can feel the dread when it transitions into Act 3. He isn't in the proper house anymore. He's lost everything because of his obsession over hunting the truth regarding the Master Chief and Oni. He's desperate, and it works narratively as we see just how hard it can be hunting the truth. But in terms of like the story tone, it does lose a lot of steam. I'm gonna be a bit opinionated here, but like I said earlier, the story really works when it's placed as this low-stakes mystery thriller in the eyes of an ordinary person. Making Benjamin join the rebellion, go into hiding, and needing to use dark web connections makes sense for his character, but unfortunately, it comes at the cost of losing a lot of immersion and the charm of Hunt the Truth. When it starts focusing on the consequences of Benjamin's obsession, it works beautifully. Having him go back into his old apartment and see that everything was taken is horrifying, and learn that his friend Ray, who's been helping him with research since the start, also has the apartment cleaned up of everything, shows just how far they've gone. Ray has been infected by Ben, not necessarily a bad thing, but he's too involved to the point he's lost everything as well. Showing realistic stakes like this is the one part that sticks with me the most when thinking about this series. Having Benjamin go into a secret-only facility on a glass planet to discover the truth about the Master Chief admittedly takes me out. I like it when Benjamin gathers info from others rather than getting the info himself. It makes it so there's a level of nuance of whether or not the info he got was actually true or not because of human behavior, which is what Hunt the Truth strives for. Having a whole data log of what happened here and there kind of breaks it in my opinion, but it does make up for it with revelations such as only having a full mental profile on Benjamin and how to manipulate him step by step, which is horrifying. Being real, it seems the story struggles later on with wanting to show more lore about the Halo series, while also wanting to keep the journalist's low stakes perspective. And season 2 of Hunt the Truth kind of goes down that path, which is why I personally don't like it, but one step at a time here. All the complaints I have about Act 2 and 3 don't really matter though, because the ending makes up for everything. To recap, Benjamin has gone off the deep rails having to contact people via the dark web to get the info he needs. He's involved numerous of his friends, the people he once relied on are suddenly gone. It's very isolating and alienating. When he receives a lead from Petra, he drops everything just for it, and it appears to be the thing he needs, the information he desires to get back at Oni. He uses his connections to appear on an ECB program, just think of it like CNN or something, and he asks Ray to send the files. It's here where I should mention how the series builds tradition just to break it. Every episode is from Benjamin's perspective. He's all like, this is Hunt the Truth, and he gives foreshadowing as to what happens and recaps a little bit of what's to come. It gives you the implication that the story is going to continue, along with that little intro jingle at every episode. The start of the final episode makes it clear this isn't the usual structure. This episode does not have any commentary from Benjamin, no. It's a news broadcast recording. It's the ECB program that Benjamin is going to be on. And in this broadcast, everything is broken for Ben. They remove his files so he looks like a conspiracy theorist. His friend Ray is now missing. The people he once trusted turn on him. He looks insane. Recordings are shown of Ben in places he didn't know he was being recorded at. He was recorded at his old apartment, the old Oni facility. You realize just how fucked Ben is. And he was told by Petra that this was a bad idea, but because of Ben's passion, Ben's yearning to hunt the truth, he fell into the trap. Everything from the start was against him. Even the reporter is against him. It's where my faults of Act 3 don't really matter because every single thing that happens in that act is brought up to misinterpret the situation and reveal that while Ben was spiraling to find the info he needed, they were there. They were always there. Ben is a threat. He is not someone who won't sit by and let the truth be hidden. He may have done it once before, but not anymore. That makes him dangerous. He gets escorted and taken out by Oni officers. And in the epilogue, we hear Petra. She talks about the story of Hunt the Truth, how Oni is all about fear, and most importantly, Ben was sloppy, if that wasn't obvious enough. But Ray wasn't. He sent backups to Petra, and she doesn't intend to leave it on deaf ears. She intends to do what Ben couldn't, but she's gonna do it her way. She's going to hunt the truth, ending season 1 of the audio drama. This audio drama is genuinely such a magical entry in the Halo series, and you can easily see why I start getting a little confused on why this is a part of the Halo 5 marketing campaign, because what does this have to do with Halo 5? Everything about the Halo 5 commercials were relating to Hunt the Truth in some sort of way regarding mystery and intrigue. It seemed to paint the idea of Oni being the central villain and how they manipulate the public's opinion on Master Chief, We saw that in the trailers. Now I doubt Halo 5 would literally focus on Master Chief, I don't know, being the shit out of Oni because it just seems unlikely, but I've seen so many people express disappointment over how Huntthetruth was utilized. I think a ton of people will say this is a really good series, but why is it a part of Halo 5? The ARG was so complex, it was all about the truth being misconstrued, and the podcast did a great job of showing just how far Oni went to cover it up. To place fake info just to make us believe a certain thing. Was Master Chief actually a traitor? It all hinged on this idea that fooled both us and the characters in the world of Halo. It's just so compelling, and I find myself sometimes rewatching the trailers, knowing that some of this may just be fabricated. I mean, obviously yes it is, because in real life the game's story, I mean what, anyway. Do me a favor, watch this series for me. It's only 3 hours. Also, these performances are so good. A lot of them are voiced by celebrities, but I didn't actually notice it until I actually went on the cast list. The standout is Keegan-Michael Key as Benjamin. Yes, that Keegan-Michael Key. It took me a second, but yes, that is his actual voice. It did admittedly take me out of it at first, but he plays into the role so well that even when his performance is sometimes a little comedic, it works with the contrast of the tone of the series. The standout is definitely in the final episode where he starts acting like a conspiracy theorist. In any other series like Key and Peele, this would be hilarious. But since we know the context of what Oni has done and what they're gonna do to him, it's actually horrifying.
You know you're a puppet, right?
Let's deal with facts.
Perfect.
Can you tell me where exactly you found the files you gave us that you're saying came from Oni? If there's a time to divulge sources, Ben, it's right now.
I'm really getting sick of this.
That makes 2 of us.
Listen, I don't know what the time codes say, but I downloaded those files 2 days ago from a server I accessed in an abandoned ONI facility on Bliss, okay?
You found your trove of government secrets in an unguarded shack on a glassed planet?
I've seen the conspiracies you people pull together. I just never thought I'd end up embroiled in the
Mr.
middle of one of
Giroux,
these.
I want to show you something.
I relate a lot to Benjamin as a journalist and someone who loves diving into rabbit holes. Showing the consequence of how far you can fall when you're deep into something speaks to me personally. Just recently, I did a really long video on an iceberg that genuinely took up my entire time to the point I began having nightmares about the iceberg. It was all I can think of. I couldn't even switch doing college work or any other work. I let my body rot. It was not good. It was scary, which is why I gave Benjamin a lot of leeway even though the red flags were in front of his face. And I hate connecting this shit to real life, but I can tell you right now, this series is really good at making you paranoid with shit that you can easily connect to in real life, and re-listening to it only heightened those feelings even more. Oh, you asked about season 2? No, I'm good. I think just talking about season 1 is enough for me. Okay, I'll talk about season 2 in a brief way, but I don't really like it. I don't like the direction taken with it, and how it kind of erases a lot of things in season 1. Petra's epilogue? She's written out almost immediately. You could narratively say it makes sense because Oni would not let that shit slide, and yes, that's true, but it seems like a waste just to write her out that fast. It just doesn't intrigue me, man, I'm sorry. Y'all can discuss that in the comments, but that's Huntthetruth, a really good part of Halo that I think should be discussed way more. Maybe it was back in 2015, but I wasn't the most active back then, so can we resurrect the topic for me, please? I really do wish Huntthetruth had more of an impact. Obviously, it made the balance when it happened, but I don't know, people nowadays talk about Halo ever since Campaign Evolve was announced, and people are starting to talk about Halo, talk about Halo 5, and talk about was Halo 5 good and stuff like that. And I don't really see a single soul mention Huntthetruth, which is like, come on man, Huntthetruth is awesome. And I think the big thing is that I just wish it was incorporated a bit more into the game. I mean, they made that whole lore guide for a reason, and even though we can get upset about, oh, they're forcing us to read shit, I kind of wish they doubled down on it instead of just making it so little sprinkled, read everything, and then you'll fully get the experience of Halo 5. But sadly, they didn't really go that far, so it just created like a really kind of mixed result. It's something that I've cared less for as time goes by. I mean, Huntthetruth is still good no matter what. It's an amazing podcast that you should go listen to. Anyway, that's all from me. Good night.